Doyle from OptixEQ, and I want to look at a race at opening day at DelMar and analyze race 2. It's a turf sprint. But before I do that, I want to point out a few things on the website. First thing is that this screen here that comes up, Optics Library, if you click Learn More on that, what you'll find is all the information that's pertinent, all the content, either videos, guides, FAQs, lots of good stuff here, examples and samples of races. So people are asking, how do I read this? How do I interpret it? Well, all the information is there. So it depends on what product you want to look at. Go through it, and you can open it up, and there's lots of good stuff and lots of good content there, okay? The other thing I just want to point out is we're back at DelMar, so Race of the Day is going to be done there every day. Emily Gullickson's going to go through it, and you'll see we're already up there for Friday and Saturday. And Emily does a great job. We also include the plot, which with the 2020 look, and also the notes, and with Emily's explanation. So everyone says, how do you do this? How do you interpret it? She does it every day, and you could actually go back. If you go back to the race of the day, you just need to log in. So you need to have an account, but it's always in the bottom right here, and you can go back to the archives too, because there's archives of old ones. So no excuse if you want to learn this stuff. There's a lot of good expert information there. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to go over to race 2 at DelMar. And you can see the contention is aflame and speed rating is high. So, there might be something off the pace. The first thing I want to kind of just point out, though, let me go to quad percentage. And what this shows me is just the profile of this track is typically the quadrant 1 is most effective. You can see the number 1, number 3. Those are the horses in quadrant 1 on both. They always have kind of an advantage in this situation. They're just because of the profile of the track for 5 furlongs turf at DelMar. But this race has a lot of speed, so there might be horses backing up, and some of the horses in quadrant 4 might have a look. So let's dig in a little deeper. First thing I want to notice is the run styles of the horses. There are 3 E types. E-type means that the horse needs the lead. Not so quite sure in the number 1 because he just ran one race, so it's still hard to tell. Horse ran a big race, a B+ in our grade, and had a rush up and was best of a speed and actually finished nicely. So this horse is a little bit of a question mark, so we want to include it. The 6 is the 2-to-1 morning line favorite, and we're negative on this horse. He's a need the lead type of horse. I'm going to show you something. Let's just go to his past performances on the grid. You can see he's got a lot of loans in his thing. I'm going to look at his turf sprints, and you see there's a lot of loans, and he does very well when he's lone. Let me just change this a little bit. Let me put in when he duels or when he is pressed. You can see the results aren't as good. I mean, he did finish second once in a lower level race, but look, 10th, 8th, and 8th. So he's vulnerable. If he gets pressure early, sometimes, and this is what happens with the need to lead horses, he finishes completely off the board. An 8th, an 8th, and a 10th. So at that price, we're gonna take a shot against him, absolutely. And the 2 also looks like a toss. He's part of that early pace, but he's even below the 6 and even a bigger circle. So we'll give the 1 some credence out of the E-horses because we're not really sure he's an E-horse yet, and he ran so well. I mean, it's hard to, especially on the win end, to take horses that just break their maiden. So we want to just kind of consider him as part of the exotics. Maybe he's got potential to be a good horse. So too early to tell. The 3 and the 5 are EP type horses, and the concern we have with the 5 is you could see in his optics notes he has a regress. Regress is a key word, and just visually we're saying he ran a really good race, but the way he kind of finished, the way he maybe galloped out or came back, there's some concerns, and we're thinking he might regress. He's also moving up in class, and how do you find this out? Well, if you use these V-bars here, you go to class competition. You can see everything below the kind of the 0 line, see the 0, is negative, and you can see he's actually got some things below. Let's just take auction price out because that really doesn't that relevant. And you can see he's below the line, especially his last race. So some vulnerability with the 5, even though he sits very nicely as a quadrant 1 square. So, just early on, the 8 horses, maybe the 1 for underneath. The 3 looks like a viable horse. He's run figures. You can see the shading here. He's run figures that fit. He's the second choice in the morning line. He's run at this level. He's run competitively. So he's definitely a look. As far as some of the closers, we're going to look at the 4 and the 7. And let me just pull this up. I'm going to pull their grid up, see how they kind of compare. So first I'm going to look at, let me clear the filters here. I'm going to look at the 4 first. And the 4's had lots of chances, but this horse has won in the past, and he can win from off the pace. Last race he ran a C, but you can see again, his last race was well above in terms of a class perspective. So he's dropping in class, and his number was fairly competitive. So we can kind of give him a little bit of an excuse there. He gets it switched to Valdivia. Again, he's a horse that, again, he's going to get some pace in this race, and so he's viable, especially at a big morning line price. So number 4, Portendo, he's got a shot in this race. It's kind of a second race off a layoff, so I would not go to sleep on him, especially if things get really heated up front. He could come running late. Let's just look at some of the races where he's run well, either first or second. There you go. So, he can run, and his numbers are very competitive. Again, we've seen that. If you go back to the plot, you can see the range is 87 to 95. He's run in that range before. So at that big morning line, we want to really consider him. And the other one, 7, is the other closer in this race. Again, they're a little bit against the profile, but as we said, this race looks like it's got some pace in it. He's a little bit light on numbers. His 2 runs before at this level, at this surface and distance, 4th and 7th. So he has a little bit more of a underneath look for us, especially at 3 to 1. Gets it switched to probably the best rider on the grounds in Southern California, Pratt, and so he has a little bit more of under look. So in summary, the 6 is if favorite, could be vulnerable. The 3 looks like a logical contender, a sneaky long shot contender, the 4, and the horses that probably might play a little bit better underneath, the number 1, big runner, and number 7, general interest. And that is it for DelMar Race 2. Hope you enjoy.